Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Triple Double Nation. Today we're discussing if the Sixers can win it all this year. Let's get into the video. In a year highlighted by Joel Embiid's MVP performance, the Sixers are still currently not the favorites to win the finals this year. The Nets, Lakers, Clippers, Bucks, and Jazz all have better odds according to DraftKings Sportsbook to win the 2021 NBA title. The Sixers currently sit at 42-21 and are still battling for first place in the Eastern Conference despite missing Joel Embiid for some games over the past month. The Sixers may not be the offensive threat that the Jazz and Nets or Lakers are, but they play perhaps the best defense in the league, and that shouldn't be taken lightly. Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Danny Green, and Steph Curry have stepped up in the absence of their big man, and the Sixers have been hot. In mini defensive matrix, the Sixers are ranked either 1 or 2, and with the addition of George Hill at the trade deadline, the Sixers' defense will surely get even better. Not will Hill fit right in because of his play on the defensive side of the ball. Hill is known more for his offense. Hill led the NBA in three-point percentage last year, and while he hasn't been as dynamic from the deep this year, he is certainly an upgrade to an already great bench.
Play here. An excellent first quarter for the Sixers. Hill roping in and slamming for two. George Hill.
DARYL Morey, in a Zoom interview with reports, said, "It's very important that if you put a defender on our floor, especially with Joel and Ben, that the player can shoot, that player can be safe with the ball. George has always been a guy who's extremely safe with the ball and makes the right play." The Sixers plus 1100 to win the championship odds are perhaps the best on the board. The Nets certainly have the best team in the NBA on paper, and that would explain why they're currently the favorites to win the title this year in the majority of sportsbooks. However, we've seen this before. We've seen super teams come together, and more often than not, it doesn't work. "I didn't think we were going to be this good," journalism major Xander Weinstein said, especially after how last season ended. "We were humiliated in the first round and were left looking for a new head coach. This embodies how most fans were feeling last August. The bubble was not particularly kind to the Sixers, to say the least. After losing Ben Simmons via knee injury, the Sixers were swept 4-0 by the Boston Celtics in the first round of the playoffs. Head coach Brett Brown was promptly fired afterwards, and the potential replacements at the time were not intriguing. The Sixers were embarrassed, banged up, and financially tied up. Any improvements they wanted to make on the court and on the books were almost impossible. Luckily for Philadelphia, lightning struck twice when DARYL Morey and Doc Rivers came to town. If you had told me after we got swept by Boston that we would end up with DARYL Morey as our GM and Doc Rivers as our head coach, I would have told you that the quarantining had gotten into your head," said business major John DeVeronica. Both moves were equally surprising, as Morey had recently claimed he was taking time off for personal reasons after stepping down as the general manager for the Houston Rockets. Morey was responsible for the plethora of blockbuster trades the Rockets made throughout the 2010s that brought in players such as James Harden, Chris Paul, and Russell Westbrook, all future Hall of Famers. Rivers, on the other hand, was fired as the head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers just one season after they signed Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Although he never reached the NBA Finals as a head coach for the Clippers, he helped lead them to their most successful seasons in franchise history. And prior to that, he coached the NBA championship winning Boston Celtics in 2007. Both of these moves erased any doubt that the process was going to fail, and it didn't take long for them to make an impact on the Sixers franchise. Morey made two moves on the night of the 2020 NBA draft that changed the complexion of the team. First, he traded Al Horford, who was on maybe the worst contract in the history of the NBA, to the Oklahoma City Thunder for three-time NBA champion and veteran 3-and-D wing Danny Green. On top of that, he traded starting guard Josh Richardson to the Mavericks for sharpshooter Steph Curry. He also went on to sign future Hall of Fame big man Dwight Howard from free agency, who is fresh off of winning an NBA championship with Danny Green and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Is the unexpected. That's what the Heat did. But they ran up against a Laker team.
Here would be gigantic. Simmons, pick it on, shoot.
Throw these new additions in with Tobias Harris, who was coached by Rivers before being traded to Philly, as well as Simmons, Embiid, and a handful of young, suspicious players in the second unit. Sixer fans were excited to see what this team could do. Right from the opening tip, this team did not disappoint. Led by Embiid, the Sixers won 7 of their first 8 regular season games and immediately established themselves as a team to beat in the Eastern Conference. They've taken some losses here and there. Every team does at one point or another. But the important thing is that they've stayed atop the conference for almost the entire season. They've also won key games against other contenders such as the Los Angeles Lakers and the Utah Jazz. Throughout the past few seasons, the Sixers' success was predicated upon the young duo of Embiid and Simmons. Under Rivers, we're seeing more guys contribute on both sides of the ball. Tobias Harris has taken that next step towards becoming an all-star. Seth Curry and Danny Green have made clutch shots when the Sixers have needed them most. What might end up being the most important for this team's future, however, is seeing our young studs like Matisse Thybulle, Shake Milton, and Furkan Korkmaz make noticeable improvements on both offense and defense. Thybulle especially has shown a growth in confidence lately, and his shooting numbers after the All-Star break speak to it. Something else to keep an eye on is the fact that he is top 10 in the league in steals despite playing half as many minutes as everyone else above him. If he can develop a consistent offensive arsenal, watch out. As long as he continues to improve and continues to get more minutes, he has Kawhi Leonard level potential. It wouldn't be a truly Sixers season review, however, without mentioning how dominant Joel Embiid has been. Prior to his injury, he was averaging over 30 points a game and established himself as the front runner in the MVP race. He also leads the league in 40-point, 10-rebound games this season with 5. At the time of his injury, there were only 4 other 40-point, 10-rebound games throughout the rest of the league combined. In seasons past, the Sixers have collapsed without Embiid, but this season has been different. The Sixers have won 5 of their 6 games since Embiid went down.
With 23 at intermission. Tobias Harris with the 3 moments ago. Cruising in, and Simmons there to hammer it back. Ben Simmons now with 17 points. Slam it back, hanging on the rim as well. And I don't think a Sixer was underneath, imperiled as Simmons slamming for 2 of his 22.
While the Sixers are remaining cautious when it comes to bringing him back, the team's recent run of form is making fans question how far this team can truly go. If they can stay healthy, I think there's a good responsibility that they may make the finals. Communications major Omar Santos said, Embiid has to be healthy. He makes or breaks the postseason run.
Again keeping it alive. Ben Simmons, a magnificent job, and what a pass! Embiid to Harris, who slams for 2.
Whether or not his team can stay healthy will determine their ceiling. When fully fit, the starting lineup is one of the best in the league. Have only lost a few times with all 5 starters healthy. Although almost every player in the current rotation has made the injury report at one point or another, the Sixers have been lucky enough to avoid any major injuries. This team has been tough to beat in the regular season, and it's hard enough to imagine it becoming any easier to beat this team 4 times in a 7-game series. If the Sixers can stay healthy, they can absolutely win it all. With the Lakers missing Anthony Davis and LeBron James being in and out of action, and the Sixers just flat out being a better team than the Bucks, Jazz, and Clippers, it begs the question, why aren't the Sixers favorites? Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and comment if you think the Sixers can bring that championship to Philly this summer. See you guys in the next video. Have a great day.